morning, Derek Wandera sitting in for the old man of the clan and Rumenda. I am hosting your show tonight, the Hot Seat, where we feature seasoned journalists, seasoned panelists and pundits to delve into issues that have transpired through the week in a more journalistic but also analytical way. Tonight I have a very big panel, but before I show you my panel and give you my panel, I am holding the Saturday Monitor in my hands, and the very big headline is plan to change retirement age. It's been currently at 60. One wonders where it's going to be read. Just get yourself the Daily Monitor tonight, and you will enjoy that story. Pension scheme, of course, shake up float. That's the story. Bugisu opposes coffee bill is one of the stories that we're going to be discussing tonight, but also it's featuring in the Saturday Monitor. Senyonyi Burora set to face off in Nakawa West, and that is politics brewing and trying to shape up for 20. Someone is itching to speak even before. Sharp rise in meat prices blamed on the perfect storm. Yeah, that and more, you get them in tomorrow's Saturday Monitor, one of your most trusted papers in this country, probably the region. Back to the hot seat. I am featuring 4 panelists. From my left to my extreme right is Jimmy Odoki from the civil society. Veteran journalist Dismas Kunda is also with us. Frank Mujimba from the citizens of Uganda. And then I have Kenyan, Congolese, Ugandan, Mr. Joseph Sabiti. He is with us tonight. He wants to say something, but I've just stopped him.
I've just realized that since since Angela Zama abandoned the show, if I don't come, West Nile is not very represented here.
So you have to come
West Nile Congo axis is represented.
Yes, Angelo, you're very much represented even with your absence from the show. So you are very, very much covered. We are going to have an array of topics to discuss tonight, but we are going to discuss Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua finally accepts probably defeat. And Professor Kindiki swears in as the Deputy President of Kenya, of the Republic of Kenya. We're also going to discuss a little bit more of the U.S. elections, which is on now. Many states are already in their election moods, but 4 days from now it will be the general elections. 4-5 days from now. But most importantly, the elephant in the room is the hurdle and the battle for the coffee grain still rages 2-3 weeks down the road. And this debate started from Parliament. That's why I want to start with you, Joseph, who represents Parliament on this show many a time. This is something that has been brewing over time, but especially when it reached Parliament for voting. We've seen that tribal sentiments have kicked in. We've seen that President Museveni, for the first time, if not, has issued 3 letters in a record 5 days, just explaining the same thing, but using different words. And that's how serious this matter seems to look like. Can you, Joseph from Parliament, shed for us a picture of what this whole thing and how it has been growing to where it is now?
Derek, I went back this afternoon and I was looking at the stories that the Monitor has written about rationalization. And this conversation started, I think, about 5 years ago. The list of agencies to be rationalized and the ministries that will be submerged into have been in the public domain for at least the last 5 years. The real processes, including cabinet discussions and the drafting of the bills, I think have taken not less than the last 3 years. So the fact that this discussion then becomes more intense in the last, when it is tabled, and it's one thing that
7 to 8 p.m. It's hot.
Good evening, Derek Wandera, sitting in for the old man of the clan and Rumenda. I am hosting your show tonight, the Hot Seat, where we feature seasoned journalists, seasoned panelists and pundits to delve into issues that have transpired through the week in a more journalistic but also analytical way. Tonight I have a very big panel, but before I show you my panel and give you my panel, I am holding the Saturday Monitor in my hands, and the very big headline is plan to change retirement age. It's been currently at 60. One wonders where it's going to be read. Just get yourself the Daily Monitor tonight, and you will enjoy that story. Pension scheme, of course, shake up float. That's the story. Bugisu opposes coffee bill is one of the stories that we're going to be discussing tonight. But also it's featuring in the Saturday Monitor. Senyonyi Burora set to face off in Nakawa West, and that is politics brewing and trying to shape up for 20. Someone is itching to speak even before. Sharp rise in meat prices blamed on the perfect storm. Yeah, that and more, you get them in tomorrow's Saturday Monitor, one of your most trusted papers in this country, probably the region. Back to the hot seat. I am featuring 4 panelists. From my left to my extreme right is Jimmy Odoki from the civil society. Veteran journalist Dismas Kunda is also with us. Frank Mujimba from the citizens of Uganda, and then I have Kenyan, Congolese, Ugandan, Mr. Joseph Sabiti. He is with us tonight. He wants to say something, but I've just stopped him.
No. I've just realized that since since Angela Zama abandoned the show, if I don't come, West Nile is not very represented here.
So you have to come
West Nile Congo axis is represented.
Yes, Angelo, you're very much represented even with your absence from the show. So you are very, very much covered. We are going to have an array of topics to discuss tonight, but we are going to discuss Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua finally accepts probably defeat, and Professor Kindiki swears in as the deputy president of Kenya, of the Republic of Kenya. We're also going to discuss a little bit more of the U.S. elections, which is on now. Many states are already in their election moods, but 4 days from now it will be the general elections. 4-5 days from now, but most importantly, the elephant in the room is the hurdle and the battle for the coffee grain still rages 2-3 weeks down the road, and this debate started from Parliament. That's why I want to start with you, Joseph, who represents Parliament on this show many a time. This is something that has been brewing over time, but especially when it reached Parliament for voting. We've seen that tribal sentiments have kicked in. We've seen that President Museveni, for the first time, if not, has issued three letters in a record 5 days, just explaining the same thing, but using different words. And that's how serious this matter seems to look like. Can you, Joseph from Parliament, shed for us a picture of what this whole thing and how it has been growing to where it is now?
Derek, I went back this afternoon and I was looking at the stories that the Monitor has written about rationalization. And this conversation started, I think, about 5 years ago. The list of agencies to be rationalized and the ministries that will be submerged into have been in the public domain for at least the last 5 years. The real processes, including cabinet discussions and the drafting of the bills, I think have taken not less than the last 3 years. So the fact that this discussion then becomes more intense in the last, when it is tabled, and it's one thing that kind of puzzled me. But also one thing I realized is that where politicians gather, no offense to the place where I work, many times the discussion will go beyond the issues can skip out through the window, and emotions, winning constituencies, and personal interest take center stage. So I don't think I'd want to blame anyone for debating on the coffee bill the way they debated. There's an election to be won. The NRM primaries and opposition party selection is probably a year away. And so anybody who stands on that floor, chances are, will be speaking to their constituents. And the clear example is, I think, what happened in Butambala. The Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi's statement in Butambala is a clear illustration of the need for political jump starting. There are people who are their political batteries are running low. Yes, and if you've kept tabs on Butambala, you know what's happening down there.
I have my man.
So in short, there's an election to be won. Don't blame a brother or a sister but for me, I think the fundamental issue is that we have lost the debate on issues. We've lost the critical questions on what critical role was UCDA playing. What happens if UCDA is taken away? What used to happen when we had extension workers from the Ministry of Agriculture at different level? How did Coffee Marketing Board play? And what happened after Coffee Marketing Board was disbanded? Before UDA's creation in 1991, what was this coffee sector looking like? And on this, I think I want to credit the Monitor. The Daily Monitor, I think, has done a fantastic job trying to bring out the issues. I had an exchange with a younger colleague, a journalist, who didn't agree with my views. And instead of presenting counter views, he came and started saying, since you left active journalism, you have lost all your integrity. And the reason why he was saying I've lost all my integrity is because I was saying, look, you are the newsroom, the active newsroom. Your job is to focus the nation, to shape the narrative. Don't be like me, who is a public relations officer, who could want to, skew facts in my favor. The guy said, for you, what can you say? And I told him, guys, serious journalists are writing serious articles. And I think that in between, at some point, the media needs to guide this debate.
Joseph, of course, before I even run away from you, you are a journalist, you are a PRO, but also most importantly, you come from one of those regions that very much depends and grows coffee at that. How do you feel? What's your take about this whole rationalization of UCDA?
I come from a coffee growing area. The districts of Nebi and Zombo used to have, I think from colonial days, grown coffee. So our lives, our education, our coming to Kampala, there's a coffee story in it else there. But our stories were also premiered around cooperatives, Koro Coffee Cooperative Union, and around farmers organizing themselves around cooperatives, and then those cooperatives setting the standards, enforcing regulations and things like that. The UCDA story is not very pronounced in the West Nile region, if I am to speak for that region. So if you asked me, as a descendant of coffee growers, I'm going to say that I need extension workers down there, but also I need a way in which there will be regulation and control of quality of coffee, but also I need a network of marketing the coffee to the farmers. I think that our people are still organized around the cooperative unions. In my arguments on social media, I also cited the example of Bugiso Cooperative Union and the work it has done around building capacity of farmers and even going into value addition. So in the process, I think that the real issues, the experiences, the facts And the critical issues for the debate got lost in the politics. And when things come to Parliament, you need to examine certain aspects. Most MPs are business people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes.
When you talk about politics, I do understand that there are political crops in this country. Sugarcane.
Not even that.
And tea.
I wanted to ask one journalist to go to UCDA and get the list of service providers to that entity. Derek, you need to understand one thing. What is the traditional stand of the opposition on creation of agencies? It's wastage.
Yes.
What is their ideology on the size of government? They want a lean and efficient government. What has been the position of the opposition on President Museveni's government? It is ineffective. It is defective.
Which is not a lie.
It doesn't perform. In fact, it should have gone yesterday. Weirdly, in the middle of the mist, the political opposition emerges as the biggest defenders of UCDA. UCDA, which is under the control of this government, which is wasteful, which is, and things like that. Of course, I agree. So I am saying there are the facts, the issues, there's the politics, and there are the interests.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to bring in this one's. Of course, this whole story has a political side and the technical side. Of course, the technical side being the UCDA, what it should be doing. But the political side would be what exactly are the issues and how are they being articulated and stuff like that. In your view, do you feel there are things that are not being said that should have been said, and what are those things if they're not said?
Thank you, Derek. First of all, you said that in a record time, Museveni has written 3 letters. In a record time, we have seen even very, very top, maybe supporters of Museveni who have come out to say no about UCDA.
Yeah.
Last Friday, I think we did discuss it, and we said coffee is an emotional crop. Very, very emotional in this country. So, for example, for Museveni, that's where it boils down to come to politics. He might have good intentions of making sure that the coffee industry is well regulated. It goes to the people who understand it in the Ministry of Agriculture, etc. But the point is, if you said you are rationalizing the coffee development, the Cotton Development Authority, no one would say anything. But you can understand the Uganda, what they think. You have seen the Gachagua, what he has been saying, statements he has been issuing about coffee. For them, I think, like Sabit said, we did not understand it very well. We thought, I think our mind was, it's an emotional crop, therefore we have to defend it, otherwise the government is taking it. And remember, Derek, there is a background to that. You remember that issuing of that a certain peanut was good, the person who was going to take over the coffee and determine the prices for people.
Yes.
And then the fact that also a factory had been built in Tungamo, that all the coffee would be. Now, so all those things, they just make up an understanding and saying, now, even the little thing that, I saw the Gachagua saying, where you would get money. So you want to make us poor? That's your intention? So, like Sabit is saying, I think we didn't get a full understanding of exactly what the issues are, but it became emotive, and that emotion is what we are riding on.
Do you feel it's justifiable, given some of the background stories that have been coming around coffee, but also other what you would call political crops like sugarcane, like tea? Do you find it justifiable, or do you feel it's something that should stakeholders need to sit down to just try to help people understand that emotion? Is it justifiable, or what should be done?
It is justifiable. This is a crop that the government wanted to change its policy, and the demonstrations, you wouldn't believe what even the government couldn't handle. So what I'm saying is that if you look, for example, Sabji talked about cooperative unions. The cooperative unions that used to be, that's why Bugisu Cooperative Union is still existing. It's because of coffee. So the Bugisu Cooperative Union, if it can do what it does very well, and then there are questions. People have questions about whether the Ministry of Agriculture and More Industries has the capacity, the same capacity that UCD has been the kind of support the what they call them. The support they have been giving farmers. Now,
extension
service, then there is certification of,
and then quality control
etc. So the people are people are jittering and said, it's that Minister of Agriculture, which used to be even having extension workers who would come, but it is only sitting and heavy, and that's it. Would it be able to do exactly what UCD has been doing? So it's that emotion which is making people think, and and the wave is still on, but clearly even other individuals who have deep knowledge about even I saw Dr. Suluma, Professor, is it Dr. Suluma? I saw, I think, a former Minister of Agriculture. All of them weighing in and saying, I think it's a wrong thing to do. But like I said on last Friday, I don't think that Museveni will give up.
No. He doesn't seem to be giving up anytime soon. I have Jimmy and Frank who haven't spoken. I want to go for a quick commercial break, and when I come back, I will bring you in and you weigh in on this topic. And even Hotseat evening. My name is Derek Wandera. I have a big and able panel of Jimmy, Dismas, Frank, and Joseph to dissect for us the issues. And we're still on this issue of UCDA, but also rationalization. You know, in the first phase of rationalization, actually, UCDA did not feature as much as it has. In the first phase, I remember it was UNRWA, it was NITAU, and those other agencies. Even when UCDA was on the list, it didn't feature as much as it did this time round. And one wonders what has brought all this storm up. Would it be the statement of the boss of Joseph? We shall get to him. And Jimmy, can you weigh in on this and how it's been branded tribal? The tribal lines have been clearly drawn. Even when you would hear them from the start, now they seem very vivid. What has become of coffee at this stage?
I think it's both tribal and seen as opposition. The tribal being that coffee is mainly grown 50% here. So
that's not true.
Isn't it?
Yes,
no.
It is.
50%? No. The data, we export about 7 million kilograms of coffee. Uganda produces only 2 million of those. Actually, Western Uganda is producing more coffee than Buganda.
But Bugisu should be the one producing more coffee than...
No, I'm saying...
We'll look for the statistics.
Yes, in terms of stats, Buganda does not constitute 50%.
I'll say it's been reported that Buganda produces 50%.
Okay.
That's what you've been reading.
Yes, it's wrong stats.
I don't know what... UBOS with all its inefficiency in the last census.
So UBOS has given you, Jimmy.
Yeah, no,
wrong
those are not UBOS stats.
No, I'll just...
Those are media stats.
If you say... we can't even know which one you're using, but I mean...
No, the official data of coffee, even from UCDA.
Please, you're protected.
Yeah, anyway, what I'm saying is that it's mostly in if we are to see that if 50% is here, Joseph will agree 50% for now. We can. So
you're
protected. You're protected, Jimmy.
People here, the livelihood. You've been seeing the newspaper. The Monitor has been running. Some people who have been benefiting what they've been doing. So if you think if they've been doing well with the UCDA, if they say so, why should it now be taken back to the mother ministry? Yeah, so it's like fighting. They'll be seen as they're being fought economically.
Who is being fought?
The people that
the growers,
the one who produce 50%.
Okay,
and other regions, of course. So if it's working well, and then when Dr. Ezra Suruma, I think it's from his book, explaining how it was formed and all that.
But even yesterday he was featuring on X.
Yeah,
explaining some of those.
Yeah, so is like an intellectual. He's been in the bank. He understands the economy very well, and so if you have one of your people, an expert, making these arguments, why shouldn't it? Maybe you go slow on it and then understand why. Otherwise, people will be thinking their livelihood is being tampered with. Yeah.
Why I come to you, Frank, is that President Museveni issued 3 letters in an array of 5 in the space of five days. Just explain.
The fresh thing that
as
has
Ugandans, we are
happened is the
conservative.
introduction
I worked
of
in a
IFRIS.
bank.
And also how he met traders and the leaders of traders to try and explain to them how advantageous is IFRIS. So I don't know why President Museveni has not taken time to go down and visit the actual people who grow coffee and explain to them the reason as to why he is doing what government wants to do, to transfer UCDA and take it into Ministry of Agriculture. So I think that is the only gap that we are missing. If President Museveni could go down, address the population, exactly. So I think that is the only gap that we are missing. If President Museveni could go down, address the population, exactly. Tell them if you want to give, but you also have, for example, you want to discard the discontent.
Are those people in the village the ones who are going to discard?
Do you want them to keep but you also have you want to discard the discontent from the actual people who are growing coffee. You want them to
No, but you're not answering my question.
This is what can be discouraged. So whatever you're doing in parliament will be of no use. It goes back to the actual people who grow coffee. Because they can be discouraged and stop growing coffee. So whatever you're doing in parliament will be of no use. So that's why I'm saying, if he went down to talk to these people, calm them down. The people in parliament say that
but I think he's beginning those regional tours, and I hope that is
that will be fruitful because the people in parliament say
supporters down there,
whatever they get this feedback, whatever they are contesting in parliament is feedback they get from their supporters down there, and there is a disconnect between these people who actually grow coffee and the government. So that's why the government of Uganda, either represented by the president himself or someone he chooses to try and close that gap, communicate to the people, tell them
one of the sentiments that came out from
actually they continue earning from coffee and not the other one.
One of the sentiments that came out from the Katikkiro of Uganda, making sure that coffee is taken away from. There seems to be me and you, Joseph, and it's hard to one person making sure that coffee is taken away from. You will have to have a license. Me and you, Joseph, and it's hard to one person. President Museveni came out to say that you will have to have a license because of that point. But he has a point because around President Museveni came out to say that he's lying. That he's a liar because of that point. But we know that I think around 2000, about I think 2025, making sure that your 2020, there was a bill that was introduced in Parliament that was quashed about the same, making sure that you are licensed as a grower of coffee and stuff like that. I think it didn't take shape, but shortly after that is when we started seeing it. I want us to go for a quick commercial break, and when we return, we shall dive even into other issues.
It's KFM's Hotseat, the K-Drive. It's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hotseat, the K-Drive.
Bienvenido de nuevo, mi amigo. Gracias. It means welcome back, my friend. Gracias. These are Becky Son. Let's do this. Before we start, I'll say this. These are Becky Son.
Becky and Emeka, the romantic Muchika.
Just told you spend
We just have about 4 years ago.
if they give me 4 years, I will travel to Spain.
K-Drive, the K-Drive. Monday to Friday. K-Drive, the K-Drive. Monday to Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. The fresh and reloaded 933 KFM.
Did you know that power theft could cause electrocution or death? Make you miss out on your favorite entertainment. Oh no! It's illegal to tamper with electricity infrastructure. Stop vandalism of electricity infrastructure. It's illegal to tamper with electricity infrastructure, business, and property. Stop vandalism of electricity infrastructure. Report power theft today and prevent loss of lives, business, and property. Call 0 360 Remember to stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Powering Uganda.
So intense. You will always know when you're in the presence of perfectly chilled green. There's just something so intense, unmistakably. It starts with a golden, perfectly chilled green bottle. Perfectly crafted, an aroma unmistakably rich. A golden,
malt.
That's how you will know
Full of flavor.
you have met the
Now in a
finest.
distinctive new look. 100% malt. Slow brewed for fuller flavor. Now in a distinctive new look. Alcohol is not for sort of persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
933 KFM.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m.
My office.
Hot Seat tonight with me, Derek Wandera. I'll be taking you all the way to the 8 p.m. I'm still in studio with 4 journalists and pundits who are discussing very serious and topical issues this evening. I have Joseph, I have Frank, I have Dismas, and I have Jimmy. But on the other line, because we are crossing to Kenya, I have a Kenyan Ugandan, Joel Mukisa, because today Professor Kindiki finally swore in as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya after they impeached Rigathi Gachagua finally lost some of those appeals that he made. And I want to bring you in, Joel. Can you draw for us what the climate, what the environment, and what the mood was like in Kenya, and how it is, and what this means for Kenyan politics, but also for the general Kenyan people?
Derek, did you ask me a question?
Yes. Did you hear the question?
No.
I repeat, please, can you try to shade for us a picture of what the mood and atmosphere was like today in Kenya while Professor Kindiki was being sworn in? But also, just in 2 minutes, tell us what this means for the politics of Kenya, but also for the people of Kenya.
Well, thank you so much, Derek. I'm not in Kenya today, but I can speak of the mood that was in Kenya today, based off friends that I know there, but also based off their accounts in popular media and popular culture. Yes, Professor Abraham Kindiki was sworn in today after a very long battle in court, coupled with the conservatory orders of stay stopping the the new occupant of that office until yesterday. A bench of the High Court made up of 3 judges said that the office of deputy president cannot be empty forever, so it needs to be occupied, as they are, of course, still hearing the merits of the case. Today, as he was sworn in, surprisingly, there was not jubilation. There was no jubilation from the country. It was not those ecstatic moments in the country. But I think a country like Kenya has passed that, because of where Professor Kindiki comes from. There were some celebrations in Tarakaniti, but he comes from a very small community, so it was expected, especially in a country like Kenya, where tribal politics is still rife. Coming from a small community, you don't expect national appeal at that level. So at that level, the country was a bit calm, docile, and maybe just looking on, and Kenya has reached that point whereby they say, these are just normal politicians, they don't care about us. So there was that kind of thing in the country of Kenya. Among the political elite, we're talking about governors. Definitely there was celebration for the rise to occasion, but Abraham Kindiki, I saw people from as far as Meru, where it comes from, people from as far as Kisumu, Professor Nyang sending in congratulatory messages. He, among those people who have not spoken, we have not had a message of congratulations. Raila Amolo Odinga, nothing from the former president. So that is what it looks like in Kenya currently.
Yeah, but from your perspective, what does this mean? Because this is a precedent that has been set. Very many precedents have been set in Kenya, but this is one that is a landmark precedent that a president probably one day will be impeached in the same manner that we've seen Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. What does this mean for the politics of Kenya?
This definitely means in future that because of the nature of the grounds on which the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, it opened up a Pandora's box, communicating that for the smallest penalty, if you're not in good terms with the political class, you can easily be told to get home. And for the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, his best crime was, the biggest crime was talking matters shareholding government, riding up tribal politics. So it definitely shows that Kenya has gone ahead in terms of institutional accountability. Of course, this is a political stratagem, but in the broader sense, it talks about institutional capabilities to hold individuals to account. But most importantly, after the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was told to go home, you saw a very long and elaborate court process that he had to go through. And that court process was nearly freezing orders from the Senate, freezing orders from the National Assembly, a president who had gazetted, the name had been gazetted, but they still had to wait the entire court process. Very, very parallel for our listeners in Uganda who have a matter as rife as the coffee bill, talking matters of civic consciousness. You don't feel that in Uganda. In Kenya, if you had, for example, the law, the rationalization of Uganda, the coffee authority, you'd find someone going. So in terms of Kenyan politics, the impeachment of the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has reaffirmed their commitment to the 2010 Constitution, reaffirmed their commitment to the rule of law. Of course, politicians misuse these or use them, but it shows you still that they had to go through the normal way, the institutional way, and the rule of law. What does it mean for the politics of Kenya? I think Professor Abraham Kindiki, it means that Ruto will have a deputy who has no ambition for his throne, either now or in 2027. So it also means that you have now the mountain where the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua from divided in all the blocks of east versus west. So because those from the western part of the mountain feel like they have been betrayed by William Ruto, and those from the eastern part of the mountain are saying, this is our moment. We have waited. No one from the Kikuyu or the eastern part has come to occasion. It was Jomo Kenyatta. After Jomo Kenyatta, we are talking about Mwai Kibaki. After Mwai Kibaki, you're back to Uhuru Kenyatta. All those have been coming from one side of the mountain. So the ascendance into power, or second in command of Professor Abraham Kindiki, communicates that it is now the eastern part of the mountain in charge of Kenya. That definitely raises a split. In terms of issues that Rigathi Gachagua home, it also communicates that Kenya is now throwing a line that they are past ethnicity, they are past tribes. Of course, that is not true, but at least in the ideal that Kenya holds, it is what they're saying. And if you had President William Ruto speaking, he spoke of something that we don't work for our communities, we don't work for our villages, we work for United Kenya. This was the message that William Ruto used. Of course, optimistically, but definitely had to say today as Professor Abraham Kindiki was being sworn.
Thank you, Joel. I want to bring in another Kenyan here. Joseph, is this something you foresaw? Is this something that Kenyans foresaw coming their way, especially when you've seen that the current president was deputy to Uhuru Kenyatta, and they actually were at loggerheads almost throughout their tenure in office, especially the second one. Do you think Kenyans foresaw William Ruto turning guns against his deputy?
The last time we were here, I think, is it you who was talking about courts and we told you to wash your face and go and go and take tea? Yes. The moment the Senate passed that impeachment vote, it was over for Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua. And you see, you need to understand the difference between Riggy and William Samoei Arap Ruto. William has, I think, lived all his life to be president. Go back to 1997 when he beat the machinery of President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi to become member of parliament for Eldoret North, and then how he smuggles his way back into Kanu, his failed attempt with Uhuru Kenyatta when Moi was handing over power, and then he finds his way into the Orange Democratic Movement and rises to become the de facto deputy leader of the Orange Democratic Movement, being the number 2 to Raila Odinga, and in the run and his fight with Raila when he was suspended from the Ministry of Higher Education and Agriculture over corruption accusations, and he jumps out of Baba's hands in the run to 2013. He abandons the ODM and forms URP. URP later goes into a coalition with the TNA of Uhuru Kenyatta, and then Ruto becomes deputy president. It was clear between the two who was the political enigma. William was politically more charismatic, more pragmatic, and more action-oriented. In 2007, at the height of the post-election violence, who was leading the ODM side,
yes,
and who marshaled the troops in favor of Raila Odinga. So when you compare Uhuru and Ruto, clearly there was a hard guy in politics and there was a spoiled kid the interests were easy to rally around him. He would defend their interests and made him president, and then they made Ruto deputy president. The 10 years as deputy president, Ruto never one day sat down to work as DP. He used every single minute to build alliances and prepare for the presidency. By the time even talks of impeachment came, it was not sure whether Uhuru had the numbers to take him out. And when Uhuru does the handshake with Raila Odinga, Ruto clearly realizes that he must be the deputy president in the opposition. So he abandons the eating table and goes to the streets, the rooftop moments. Now, unfortunately, Rigiji thought he would repeat that script. The difference is he forgot he was up against William Ruto and not Uhuru Kenyatta. So his dice was cast the day Senate passed that vote. The moment he couldn't even raise 50 votes in the Senate or National Assembly. But also, to their credit, they have tested their constitutional processes. In Kenya, it is now possible that you can nullify a presidential election and the skies don't fall. You can impeach a sitting deputy president and the skies will stay intact. You can do whatever you want, that a deputy president can stay without security. I think for 2 nights it was watchmen guarding the Gachagua's home.
Can you compare it with your other country?
Out of the 3, can you compare with the other one? Especially the one.
Let me compare with my country, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the point is that Ruto is now, he has Raila Odinga in his fold. He has the Sultan of the Coast, Ali Hassan Joho, in his cabinet. He has chairman, I still call him Chairman Mbadi because I know him as the chairman of ODM. He's in treasury. You have Wycliffe Ambesa Oparanya, the undisputed king of that part of Kenya, in cabinet. When you're doing the mathematics of numbers, Ruto has a greater percentage of Kenya in check. That is, if the old man that I very much like wins the AU presidency and the politics stays constant, which I am beginning to doubt also. But to his credit, even when he's going to be a lame duck deputy president, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki projects more competence, more national acceptance, more polished. He's a more polished, the professor of law. He has been at the university. He has been deputy speaker of the Senate. He has been majority leader in the Senate. He's more. What do you educated people call it? What? More polished. Yes, more accomplished than the riffraff that Ruto needed to win elections. Rigiji's role was simple, and I've always said this. His role was to abuse Uhuru Kenyatta, abuse Raila Odinga, organize people to go and urinate at Mama Ngina's home in Ishaweri, and get Ruto the presidency. The moment the presidency was got, Rigathi Gachagua had no place in national leadership.
Exactly. It actually. You cut it well, that in case the old man, whom you like so much, fails, and the old man is Raila Odinga here, who has been running on opposition ticket for some time now. If he fails, then probably the tables might be turned, and who knows, William Samuel Arap Ruto will be back on the streets convincing people. But I want to bring you, Jimmy, in the swearing in of Professor Kindiki. What does Uganda learn from this? That you have a more polished, more accomplished, superb person in his leadership, but he's not as what Joseph called a riffraff. I hope, by the way, that our motherland doesn't have monthly reminders that, hey, can you people, our vice president is still our vice president.
There is a difference between a deputy president and a vice president.
Sorry, our deputy president.
We don't have one.
We don't have one. We have one, but it's best.
No, we have a vice.
Jimmy. What can Ugandan politics learn from the politics of Kenya, or what should worry Ugandans more about the politics of Kenya?
What we can learn is about
learn and unlearn, of course.
Okay, learning about processes like the constitutional, the court. I don't know whether our court system, people, we Ugandans have we have
same confidence.
Confidence, exactly. But even when you saw the way it was the way it took place today, you could see the excitement. Systems being tested. But here we seem to be stagnant, same person, all that. So we have not tested our system. Like even the judiciary, do we have faith in case we went to a presidential election petition, or can we have a fight between the president and the vice president going to court the way it happened that side? Is it possible to? Or the president is the
difference is that this other one, those ones are elected together. But here it's an appointment.
Yeah, but if you just have to admire what's taking place in Kenya, like all the systems, the way, the confidence, the political, even the media, the way everything is covered. I think we look at them with envy. We wish we had a system like that. Ours is, I don't know what to use, but I think they're way ahead of us.
That means we have a lot to learn from the judiciary, but also from the political side of our people across border. We want to go for a commercial break, and when we return, I will bring in Dismas and Frank to weigh in on this topic.
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot.
KFM Hot Seat, we come live to you on 933, and it's me, Derek Wandera. I have a big panel, Joseph Sabiti, I have Frank Mujimba, I have Dismas Nkunda, and Jimmy Achelam. I also had earlier on Joel Nkisa online, who just unfortunately dropped off. But as we wrap up, because this is our last segment, we have about a few minutes left, but as we wrap this up to you, Dismas, probably before I even bring in Dismas, Frank, there's fear that, there's a whole boom that people think that whatever is happening in Kenya, I wish there was a printer and a type and a photocopier at the border to photocopy, and just it happens in Uganda. Probably things would be better. Is that the same feeling you have? Of course. But what do you think about what is happening in Kenya and vis-a-vis what's happening in Uganda?
Wandera, what you need to know is that different countries have different systems. Even at a personal level, what happens in your home is not what takes place in Joseph's home or Dismas's home. So things are really run differently. But in this particular case, I don't know. Yes, Joseph has said that they have tested their constitution, but I don't know what you want us to learn from I don't know how to call it. When Dr. Elisha Ongoya was in court